Hello, I want to present Eye Opener, which is a project of University College Ghent, Ghent. It's the Dutch-speaking part of Belgium. I am Katrien Durinck and my colleague Anne Standaert. We will shortly introduce ourselves. I am a lecturer in teacher education. I teach educational subjects, special needs topics, but I also coach students during internships. And it's about coaching the students in internships. That was a project, but I'll first ask Anne.
Hello, I'm Anne. I work as a lecturer in the Department of Orthopedagogy, Special Needs. Apart from that, I'm involved from my earlier working experience as a special educator in several educational projects linked with inclusion.
Okay, so as you can hear, this is an interdisciplinary project between teacher training and orthopedagogics. And we'll explain in this presentation what the project was about. After a brief introduction, we will talk about the concept of guided intervention with teacher trainers. We will talk briefly about the frameworks we used to enhance the quality of student coaching. UDL is one of the frameworks we used. And then, last but not least, we will talk about 3 good practices we realized in coaching. Filmpje. We show a little introduction movie, but normally the voiceover is in Dutch, but I'll do it in English for you. Okay. The Eye Opener project focused on diversity of students in teacher training. The Association of Teacher Training Institutes in Ghent, ENW Ghent, funded the project, in which 3 different university colleges for teacher training took part. Within this project, we used a broad approach to diversity. More specifically, how can we coach students during internships, taking the diversity of the students into account? 5 guided interventions were organized. 6 teacher trainers took part, and 2 process coaches, Anne and me, guided the group. We stimulated the process of activating, inspiring, and motivating each other. And this resulted in some good practices in which the diversity of our students is met. We hope you also noticed the UDL touch in the little introduction movie. Ik denk hier. Dat zien we ook. Nee, daarboven. Ja, dat. And then the next. Okay. In the project, we used a lot of visual tools like images, videos, cartoons. And we hope the introduction movie also motivated you to learn more about the project. And so we go on.
Okay, as a learning method, we decided to work with guided intervention. Now, guided intervention, we selected a group of participants, all working as a teacher trainer in Ghent, in different university colleges in Ghent. In that group, that was guided, so we, Katrien and myself, were the process coaches, and apart from monitoring the process, we made sure that the focus stayed on our main goal, what was how can teacher trainers coach students during internship, taking the diversity of the students into account. There were 5 interventions, as was already mentioned, and we started from the own experience of the teacher trainers. So the own experiences in their coaching of students during the internship was the base, and the focus was on the cooperative relationship between the student and the teacher trainer. Main goal was, the main goal was inspiring, motivating, and activating each other to start new actions, to try out new actions in their coaching of students during internships. We want to motivate them to learn from each other, and part of the goal, professionalize the teacher trainers. That leads to co-creation within the group, with some good practice as a result, which Katrien will illustrate later on. So important was that we focused on the internships and on the diversity between the students. How can we take that into account? How can we coach our students very individual, taking their diversity into account? We were inspired by excellent research. So in the interventions, we started from the own experiences of the teacher trainer in coaching their students during their internship. That we reflected in the intervention group. With the 6 participants, we reflect about what all the teacher trainer already did. From that reflection, each teacher trainer formulates an individual learning goal. Then we make kind of a brainstorm with all the participants, teacher trainers, like which actions could fit by that person to get along with the formulated learning goal. From all the brainstorms and the ideas in the reflective groups, they choose an action that they tried out in their practice. So when they were going back to the university college and coaching their students during internships, they tried the actions, and that leads to new experience. And the cyclist goes on. So the eye-opener concept was inspired by 3 frameworks. We will briefly mention them because it's important, and UDL was one of the 3 frameworks. The first framework was solution-focused coaching. As process coaches, we choose for solution-focused coaching because that's a way of looking to things that work, not only complaining about all the things we run into that are not working. We want to focus on little actions that helped us forward to get students, to take the diversity of students into account. We also want to go little steps forward. We don't want to change everything in 1 month because that's not possible, but we want to do little steps forward to the learning goal. We used solution-focused questions. For example, are there some exceptional situations where it worked? Are there, what are little steps you already did that worked? And so on.
Okay, the second framework we used to improve the quality of student coaching was universal design for learning. On the first intervention day with the group, it was a whole day. In the afternoon, we had a session with an expert of CIHO, the Association for Inclusive Higher Education. It was Maggie Verstichelen, some people know her. She explained how UDL can improve inclusive higher education. We talked in group about what we already realized of UDL principles in our practice, but also we talked about the challenges we saw to implement UDL more. The next slide will look very familiar for you, I think. The only thing we changed is that we changed the principles into questions, which activate the teacher trainers. So when we were talking about the why of learning, we asked them, how do you stimulate the interest and the motivation for learning? For the what principle, we asked them, how do you present information in different ways? And for the how principle, we asked them, how do you differentiate the ways that students can express their skills? And immediately we noticed that the why of learning is extremely important in the context of internships. It's all about motivation, working in authentic context, because they are teachers then in a school. And also because of the close relationship between the teacher trainer and the student then. But nevertheless, we have to keep in mind that the importance of the what and the how is also important. Yeah.
Okay, the last framework was the identity of the teacher trainer. So also between the teacher trainers, we noticed that there were differences. They had different qualities, they have different challenges, they have different pitfalls. And we were inspired by the core quadrant of Daniel Hoffman. I will shortly give an example. For example, if the core quality of a teacher trainer is that he's very punctual, and then he likes or she likes that all the tasks or reflections are handed in on time. If you have too much of your quality, you come in your pitfall. So maybe if you are too punctual, you get kind of rigid. And then it's difficult, because if you're rigid, and it's difficult if the positive opposite of your pitfall is the challenge. And the challenge will be, how can you get along with flexibility? For example, when students have some social problems, when students get ill, when students have disabilities, sometimes you have to make some exceptions, and you have to have a little bit more flexibility. Then also the flexibility, when you are kind of punctual, probably you are a little bit allergic to those students that always hand in their tasks too late, or that always only write 2 sentences when you ask to write a paper of 2 pages, that are not so punctual. They get a little bit in your allergy. Huh? So we use the framework just to get the teacher trainers to know themselves, who am I? Or to just think from the allergy, which students you are allergic to. So what does that mean about your quality? And how can we use qualities, and how can we work on challenges in the teacher training, in the coaching of teachers in their internship?
Okay, let's talk about a few good practices, because each of the teacher trainers in the group carried out some actions in their own field, in their own practice. This resulted in several good practices, but we will discuss 3 of them. First good practice. You should know that normally after a lesson taught by the student, so in a classroom, there is a conversation between the teacher trainer and the student. It's a coaching moment, a reflection moment, but the teacher trainer wanted to activate the student more in that conversation. The teacher trainer wanted to reinforce the input. And the teacher trainer realized a small action, but it had a pretty big impact. The teacher trainer used post-its. I'll explain how. There was a kind of procedure, and I'll explain it step by step. First step was that after the lesson taught, the student, as well as the teacher trainer, write down on the yellow post-it what was a positive experience. They write down 3 positive experiences about the lesson. Then in the second step, the student writes down 3 things that could be better, how to improve the lesson, and the teacher trainer does the same. Then in the third step, the student starts the conversation. So it's not the teacher trainer who starts the presentation, but it's the student who starts the conversation. And the teacher trainer matches his or her observation to those of the student. they both use the post-its like you can see here. Those were the positive experiences. And it was nice to see that sometimes they had the same conclusions, the same observation, like the good contact in the below. Good contact with the group, the students writes down, and the teacher trainer also writes down the good contact. This reinforces that positive experience. And then we saw links with UDL, with all of the principles, because we surely meet the why of learning, because the input of the student is clearly honored. It does not only listen to the teacher trainer, but it contributes actively to the coaching moment, to the conversation about his performance. And then the what of learning is met by giving the oral feedback, as well as visual feedback using keywords, using the post-its. We saw some students even put the post-its in their room, so it has a strong effect. And then the how of learning was met by, because the student was helped to reflect about his own performance and to formulate priorities. So this is for the first good practice. Then in the second good practice, we try to present accessible practical information about internships to all students, because there is an application procedure for internships in Belgium, but it's quite a complicated procedure. And in the past, there was a text brochure with an explanation in it, and there was a group information moment. But it was not so easy for the students to complete the procedure, especially not for those who could not attend the information moment for reasons as illness, working situation, family situations. So there had to be a solution to make it more accessible. And the action was presenting the information in a clear way. And the teacher trainer, she made instruction moving using Screencast-O-Matic. She explained the application procedure step by step. She made a voiceover, so she commented each step. She included screenshots of the website for application. There were colors and symbols, and she used examples to explain it even better. Here you can see one screenshot of the instruction movie that, and yeah, it's in Dutch, so I guess some people don't understand it, but maybe you also see the UDL touch in the colors. The green means that the application is confirmed, and the red part means that it's rejected. Also here we see the links with UDL, of course, because the information is presented in different ways. But also in the group we talked about it, and we noticed that the why is also important in this, because the student gets help by completing this difficult application procedure, and he is motivated to do it. He can use the instruction movie all over again, and the explanation is given by the teacher trainer herself. It's her voice on the movie. Then the third good practice, the goal was to encourage the students to express their skills in a personal way. I guess you can see the link with UDL already. The action was that the teacher trainer stimulated that the students show their skills in a personal and creative way. Above, you can see examples of self-assessment by the students. They use artwork. This student uses a drawing to say what qualities and which challenges does he have? You can't see it really good, but there is a snail because he works with preschoolers and he has to talk more slowly. He put the snails everywhere in the classroom to remind him he had to talk more slowly. Another student used another kind of artwork to describe which were her qualities. Then below you can see students making a description of a school policy using a movie with the drawings like you saw we did for the project. She was first. We copied her style to make the introduction movie for our project. And another student who used a comic to describe that school policy. For the teacher trainer, it was much nicer to correct those assignments about school policy when it was in this format. The links with UDL are clear. The how principle is met because the students are given the opportunity to express their skills in their own creative way. And also the why is met because it stimulates motivation for learning. And not only for the student, it feels more pleasant. He can show his or her talents. But also the teacher trainer gets a broader view and makes a better connection with the student. This is the template we used to document the good practices. The teacher trainer puts in the information before the intervention session. The other teacher trainers read it. And then at the moment of the guided intervention, we talk about it, we share, we add more ideas, and so on. Conclusion of this project. The goal of this project was to inspire each other and to inspire others. So that's why we are glad to be here to present the project. And we wanted to professionalize the teacher trainers, and we can say they did professionalize, and they still do. They are better at addressing diversity, broad diversity, not only disability, but broad diversity of students during internships. They were inspired by each other, by the frameworks. They were motivated to use the UDL principles. They get a broader vision on diversity, and they feel and they enjoy the strength of sharing and co-created. There was a really positive vibe in the group, so that was very nice. The output of the project was a website. It's you can find it here. There is information about the frameworks. There's information about all the sessions we did, the 5 sessions, the PowerPoints, the materials. But unfortunately, for our international public, most of it is in Dutch at this moment. Maybe it can change. In English, there is an English section with a PowerPoint, which is pretty similar at the PowerPoint we use here. And we have also linked the article we wrote for the Ahead Journal in November 2016. So you can read more about it. Because we want to talk about the why of UDL here today at this conference. I think you've seen the links with internships where they learn in authentic learning environments. That's what they want to do. They want to become a teacher, so motivation is big. We have the close relationship between student and teacher trainer. And then the learning process is stimulated by their motivation and by their personal engagement. It's like Katie Novak said, engagement is the most important thing. And we also noticed that. Then, because we are at the end of the presentation, For us, this project continues. There are still teacher trainers using the post-its. Ideas are shared. Ideas are implemented. But also you can help us continue the project. So first we have a reflection question. So we want to ask you, which eye-opener idea inspires you? We hope you take home to your professional situation some ideas we mentioned here, and we ask you to write it down on the yellow post-its on the table. You write it for yourself or you can share it later, but just take a post-it note and write down an inspiring idea or maybe more inspiring ideas. Absolutely. Do you need a lot? Thank you. Ja, ik moet even... Because we are really at the end of the presentation, we have 2 minutes left. This is the last question we want to ask from you. Which eye-opener idea do you want to share? You can share it with your colleagues in your home institution. You can share it in this group. You can put your post-it on the table, or you can share it on Twitter, or you can put it on for the next 2 days of the conference. You just choose, but we hope you will share the positive vibe eye-opener created. Thank you for your attention.